Good morning, everybody. Well, it was a bloodbath. It wasn't even close. John Tory won by 63%. 63% of the electorate said, yes, we love increased murder rates. Yes, we want to have to pay for non-citizens in our homeless shelters and in our hotels. And yes, John Tory, can you please keep facilitating whatever Bell and Rogers want? Bell, Rogers, and John Tory own Toronto, and they will for the next 4 years. So, yay. But Faith Goldie, forever humble, is tweeting out, quote, so humbled by every single Torontonian who put his vote behind the people's candidate. To our volunteers, your sacrifice drives me to serve in all that I do. I love you all. We had high energy and worked harder than the others, placing on the podium. This is the beginning. So, thank you, Faith. I'm disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I thought that she had a lot of energy. I thought she had some momentum. I thought that the Streisand effect would have more of an effect. I wasn't disillusioned. I said a couple of days ago that I don't know that she's popular enough to overcome the system that is in place. And by that, I mean the $30 billion Rogers Control Trust, Rogers Company, behind John Tory. And because Rogers is behind it, because he's a controlling member of the Control Trust, Bell is behind it. It being Tory's candidacy in mayoral run and mayoral seat, right? So it's frustrating to see that, yeah, money will beat popular ideas if the money is allowed to silence and not debate. And, well, John Tory is the poster child for that, isn't he? So, well, 4 more years. And there are other elections up and down the ticket. Faith got 3%, if you're interested in that. 25,000 votes. The Mississauga mayor was reelected as well, and Kevin Johnson got 13%. And seeing the tweets on that were kind of funny. I don't have links to them right now, but one person I saw was like listing all of the things that he thought that Kevin Johnson had done wrong, and then not using his name, and then said, it's shocking that he got this high percentage. So, I mean, ridiculous. It's all these politics, all these conglomerate NPC media is working really well, and they know it works well. They've been doing it for decades. They've been doing it longer than I've been alive, and it's been working for them. So I don't know why I get my hopes up every time. I'm going to say peoplespartyofcanada.ca at the end of this video as well, because I still believe in it. And I'll tell you, having somebody like Faith Goldie and somebody like Maxime Bernier come in and upset the apple cart is good for democracy, because it opens the debate. So John Tory and Jen Keesmaat were trying to narrow the conversation. How many more immigrants are we going to take? How much more gun crime is acceptable? The conversation was narrowed by having just these 2 candidates represented. And the same thing is happening in federal politics, right? If you've got Scheer saying, how many more immigrants should we take in Canada, because Canada knows we need to take immigrants, blah, 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 blah. And Justin Trudeau saying, yes, and we need to take all of the ISIS fighters and all of the refugees and all of this and all of that. The conversation is being limited. We don't have a voice, we being the people who say, hold on a second, have you seen what's going on in Europe? This looks bad. This should inform our conversation. And they ignore us, just like they ignored Faith, just like they militantly would not mention her name in headlines, would not talk about her on the television, wouldn't say her name verbally while speaking. Third candidates or other candidates, whatever it is, white nationalist candidates, they wouldn't say her name. And that's on purpose. That's because we've got search engines now, and you can use things. Information is power. Things like her name gives more people access to her. So they just blanket don't say it. Wild, right? And they're gearing up to marginalize Bernier. And so far he's walked the tightrope. They can't totally ignore him yet. And he's a lawyer. He knows his stuff. He's a very, very smart guy, from what I've seen. I don't know him personally. But he's walking the tightrope. But as we get closer, they're either going to just ignore him and pull the same tricks. This was a petri dish. This was a bellwether. This was a window into next year's election, into ignoring a candidate who has grassroots support and could be popular, but without the media banging the drum. Can you imagine if the media was banging the drum for Faith Goldie the way they banged the drum for John Tory? It'd be a blowout, but a different blowout. And I'd be happy. But I guess 63% of Toronto's happy? So that's kind of strange. So moving on from the municipal elections, Michelle Rempel delivering the Tories' motion for the government strategy on returning ISIS fighters. And I'll let her. It's a minute of the presser, and I'll let her do the whole thing.
Today, Andrew Scheer's Conservatives call upon Justin Trudeau to do the following. Focus first on bringing the perpetrators of genocide and terrorist acts to justice and ensure that courts have access to evidence gathered against suspected terrorists. Strive to keep Canadians safe from those who are suspected of committing such acts of terrorism or genocide abroad but have returned to Canada by ensuring that security agencies would be adequately resourced to provide high levels of monitoring and surveillance of their activities in Canada. Encourage greater use of tools to place conditions on those suspected of terrorist or genocidal activities, such as peace bonds, which can include conditions such as wearing an electronic monitoring device, returning to and remaining at their place of residence at specified times, and controlling social media use.
So that's the Conservative plan, and I think it's not a great plan. And why do I think it's not a great plan? Well, can it not be made illegal to leave the country to fight with terrorists and say, hey, welcome back to Canada. Sorry you lost that terrorist war. Here's your jail cell, terrorist. You can do that. You can't, Michelle, because you're not part of the majority government, but Trudeau could do that, but he's not doing that. What is he doing? What's in front of the House right now? So this is a post from, or a news article from Mr. Brian Lilly, and it says, quote, Trudeau wants terrorism offenses reduced to maximum 6 months of jail time. So it's a very flowery and well-written article, but the crux of it is Bill C-75 is currently before the House of Commons. It calls for a whole list of crimes to be treated under the summary conviction. So here it says, quote, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that he and his Liberal government would support a Conservative motion calling for a plan within 45 days to bring Canadian ISIS fighters to justice. That was the motion tabled yesterday that we just saw Michelle talking about. So he says, yeah, we're going to support this, but Bill C-75 is in front of the House, and it's a majority government. If they want it passed, it'll be passed. And so here it is, quote, Bill C-75 currently before the House of Commons calls for a whole raft of crimes to be treated under summary conviction. What's summary conviction? A fine, maybe 6 months in jail. That includes terrorism offenses, including participating in an activity of terrorist group, leaving Canada to participate in activity of terrorist group, advocating or promoting commission of terrorist offenses, concealing person who carried out terrorist activity, concealing person who is likely to carry out terrorist activity. These offenses currently have sentences ranging from a maximum of 5 years to 14 years in prison. Under Trudeau's Bill C-75, that could be reduced to a maximum of 6 months in prison. The changes being brought by the Liberals allow for each of those offenses to proceed via summary conviction under the criminal code. The rules are clear, maximum 6 months in jail. And here's the criminal code for that, 787 Chevron 1. Unless otherwise provided by law, everyone who is convicted of an offense punishable on summary conviction is liable to a fine not more than $5,000 or to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months, or to both. Are these the actions of a government that takes terrorism seriously? And that question is rhetorical, but he answers it anyway. And my goodness, thank you for reporting on this, sir. So not only is Justin Trudeau soft on crime at home, not only does he not enforce our borders, not only does he tell us that we're racist for questioning the money spent on non-citizens, he is now trying to make it less illegal to participate in foreign terrorist groups and terrorist activities. This is who is leading Canada. I'm so sad. Like, it just makes me sad. I think that, yeah, I don't know. Anger is an emotion that gets me out to start the EDAs needed for the People's Party. But man, after yesterday's Faith Goldie's loss, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if at this point Canada is even savable. I hope it is. I really do. But at this point, I don't know. I really don't. It's a big question mark. And when laws like this are being passed and considered in the House, and Michelle Rempel is saying, yeah, we're gonna make that government say they're gonna be harder on returning ISIS members. But they don't talk about this. Why aren't they hitting them on this? Why isn't Michelle Rumpel doing a 15-minute video on Bill C-75 and rallying the troops saying, if we get in, this is what we're going to do to terrorists? Instead, she's middling around saying that we need to have proof of terrorist activity and proof of genocidal actions. No, guys, going to participate in terrorist groups should be illegal, should be arrestable, should be an offense you get tossed in jail for. Make it happen. We have a sovereign country. The people make the laws of that country through the government. And you guys are, I don't know what to do. What could possibly be done about these terrorists that are returning to... Yeah, do something about them. Or hold to account. But don't say, we're going to make him hold them account within 45 days. And what are we going to do? We got to make sure they have evidence. The evidence is they were gone to be a terrorist. And once they come back, if they can prove that they were not a terrorist, then great. If you've been gone in Pakistan for a job and you can prove it, then wonderful. But if you've been gone in Pakistan for a job and the job is killing infidels, well, that's a big problem. Please don't come back to Canada. Right? Moving on, I saw this and I just thought, why the hate for white people? This is a mountain equipment co-op open letter from the CEO. And it says, quote, "Do white people dominate the outdoors? Let that question sink in for a moment. If you consider every advertisement you've seen for skiing, hiking, climbing, and camping, you might think that that's the case, that white people dominate the outdoors. It isn't true at all, and it's part of a bigger problem. White athletes hold the spotlight in advertising, while the diversity that exists and continues to grow in outdoor spaces isn't represented in the images we produce and promote. The truth is that we haven't represented the diversity of Canadians or of our 5 million members." So, this is a problem, I guess, but this doesn't make Mountain Equipment Co-op look less racist. It looks like pointing this out and shaming themselves for it just seems silly. I mean, if you want to make a change, you're a company. Do it. It seems silly to write this pandering letter to, we're going to do better. Come on. And can you imagine if you put, do Asian people dominate math or something to that effect? Even if it's true, even if there's a predisposed thinking that it might be true, putting this in print and then saying we're gonna act on this this, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Assumption. So an assumption that because you're white that you dominate the outdoors, or because you're X you do Y. That is racist. And I'm not saying I wish that white people were better than everybody else. I'm just wishing that everybody got a fair shake. If we say, hey, there's more population of this group here, we should probably use more models of this group. That is a fluid decision that needs to be continually made and discussed, and looking at metrics of people who are shopping in your stores and who do come out, because you have to put ads up that look like the people who are purchasing. Otherwise, the ads don't work. I mean, you can't say diversity, but we're going to have a bunch of ads with people in full hijabs or the full head covering because, we want to be diverse. But those people maybe aren't shopping at Mountain Equipment Co-op. So doing this whole big takedown because we're overrepresenting white people just seems disingenuous. And it seems like we just want to shoot. How can we get in on this white people thing? How can we get in on shaming white people for something else that they do, that we can, get in with the Black Lives Matter or other quote unquote marginalized groups? It's silly, and I don't like it. And this is a waste of time, Mountain Equipment Co-op. Geez, fix the problem without putting a big, shining a big light on it, right? That would be a better way to fix the problem. And then maybe say, and then when people reach out to you and say, hey, we've noticed that you've started using more diverse models. Thanks for that. Say, yeah, we made that choice on purpose. Thanks for noticing. Right? That's how a business is humble and continues to keep customers. Not saying, hey guys, you know how people think white people are dominating the outdoors? We don't think that anymore, and we're going to use our models to show that. Get real. So the Liberal Party is giving more money away endlessly. Apparently in 2009, the federal government gave a whole bunch of money to new Chrysler and old Chrysler. And, it's just a story about Canadian taxpayer money being sent to bail out a company, and then the company didn't pay it back. New Chrysler paid it back. Old Chrysler didn't. They wrote off the old Chrysler amount. To find out how much that is, because I don't know it right now, click on the link. And so here's the final story I'm looking at this morning. It's on the Global Compact on Migration. Poland, Austria, Hungary, US, and Australia will not sign the UN Migration Pact. So the globalist agenda of open borders world, an open border world, gone. But guess which idiot did sign? Yeah, Justin. And he's leading the charge, saying it's important. So anyway, thanks for watching. Check out peoplespartyofcanada.ca and Maxime Bernier. So this result that happened in Toronto doesn't happen Canada-wide, and have this idiot running this place for the next 4 years. Because if that happens, I think Alberta separates. I really do. And I think I'd be moving to Alberta because they'd have the right idea. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.